keen to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Love it. I kind of want to get into a little bit of a story, so do you mind if I hijack the intro?
Go for it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Dojo Media Show, hosted by Dojo Media Co. I'm Logan, this is Raf, and we're joined by a very special guest today, Mr. Claudio Cellie. That's it.
Close enough.
An amazing, talented producer with in TV commercial productions. And what other kind of work do you produce?
Well, before we get into it, amazing, talented. I mean, I really do appreciate that. But just to preface for the whole podcast, I've still got a lot to go in my career. So it's funny. My brother, I was kind of nervous to get onto the show, and I was talking to my brother about it. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. What should I do? And he just said, man, just go for it. Yeah. So it'd be like a great visual diary. You can come back to it at another point in your career.
Yeah.
And you'll just
we'll
laugh
actually get
at
you back.
it,
We'll get you back.
So
that's
right.
That's what we're excited about too. Like,
That's
there's going to be so many conversations. Like, we'll probably look back at an early episode and we'll be like, I hope one day we do this, and then we'll do that, and we'll be able to look back and be like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but just to preface, I'm still in the early phase of my career, but no, I appreciate the kind intro. But yeah,
you have done some pretty cool stuff.
Me?
Yeah.
I know. I should promote myself a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I've started off originally in the world of documentary and brand storytelling, which is what a lot of you guys do at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to go right to the beginning?
Before we do that, I'm actually going to get into how this came about, because it's quite funny. I was literally just scrolling through Facebook one day. Come across a post by the University of Sunshine Coast, and it's this handsome devil, a black and white photo of Mr. Claudio. And I can't remember exactly what the article said, but I remember the bio said something of like, you basically started making coffees and you just worked your way up, and eventually you got onto Boy Swallows Universe, which is amazing. I've been talking about that with my girlfriend recently. Didn't even know it was a Brisbane book until recently. So I saw that post and I was like, damn, that's awesome. That's cool. This is what basically we want to do, right? So I just jokingly tag Raphael. I'm like, we should reach out. We should get in touch. Thinking, it'll just be good to network. Maybe we'll work with him sometime. And then he responds and he goes, I've actually worked with him. He's like, he's lovely. And then, so what did you do? You reached out, got him on the pod, and
messaged him, said, come on next Thursday.
Gave you a lot of notice. I didn't reply for 4 days. He called me, I missed it. I called him, he missed it. It took a while, but we got there.
So how did you guys actually meet each other?
Well, actually, it was funny. So I met Raf when I took one big step in my career, I guess you could say.
Big day for you.
I know, it was a big day. So like I was saying, I came from the world of documentary. The previous production company I used to work for was at Pluggers at the Sunshine Coast. And the company director and also director DOP, Fish Rassi, really nice guy. He's kind of taken me under his wing, and I've started off as a bit of a production runner. But anyways, I did my time with him for 2-3 years, came to Brisbane, joined SPRY Films, which is where I'm now. And I think it was my very, very first job where I was producing my first, property commercial. Yep. And
Did you have any idea what you were doing going into it?
You did seem like you knew what you were doing.
Look, I dressed the part.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. I have actually quite a few stories about. You should bring that back up after I tell the story about how I actually got into it. But first property commercial, I was pretty much learning on the job, to be honest. I was working under another talented producer called Mark Thomas, who's now based in Sydney. And then, as you know, Paul Jiggle, who's now my boss and also very talented director and DOP, who's now taken me under his wing.
It's very lucky.
I know, right? It's amazing to work
Definitely
with him.
Someone you want to work for.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just trying to build a crew, and I didn't know anyone in Brisbane. I've never worked with any Brisbane crew. I didn't know any gaffs or grips, no one. So obviously I had to just go to Paul and just ask him who he knew. And I think we're looking for a production runner, a production assistant just for the day. And Paul recommended Raf.
Yeah. I actually messaged him 2 days earlier.
Oh, really?
Asking for work.
There you go. So it all fell into place.
I can actually remember the email chain now, where you figuring out prices for a little while, back and forth. And yep. Did you have to go pick stuff up? Was it that one?
I picked up a few things during the day. I went to
Yeah.
Office Works a few times.
Yeah, I honestly, it was a while back ago, but
Yeah.
I was so busy trying not to mess up that I'm glad I got through it.
Yeah.
But that's how I met Raf. So we met there, and then I don't think I've seen you since.
No.
And then all of a sudden I got a message, and
Yep.
I'll be honest, I wasn't really keeping up with what Raf and Dojo was doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gave you a bit of a stock, and you guys are doing some cool stuff, and here I am.
Yeah, awesome. How exactly do you get to just go under some talented people's wings? Like, are you just walking in the room, you're asking questions, they see that you're keen? What is it? What exactly is it about you that makes them go, he's the one?
You know, that's such a good question, and it's something that I always talk about with my mom. We always have these deep, meaningful conversations when I'm having my pre-life crisis at the age of 23. But I've always just wondered, you know, because have you done uni, Raf?
No.
No, you haven't. See, so he took the no uni route. I took the uni route with USC. Both have their own pros and cons. There's no doubt about that. But I always talk to my mom about it, and other like close friends and families, like, why me? You know, I personally don't think I'm exceptional in a certain field. You know, I wasn't born knowing how to produce just like anyone else. So it's like, why have I been given those opportunities? But I think at the end of the day, there's always just that little bit of extra drive, or that little bit of extra you put in,
Yeah.
which differentiates you from the rest of your cohort or your peers. So for example, like, I can tell you right now, right off the bat, the very first difference that I made, that I can actually see thinking back at it, we were at uni, we're doing a film class, we had to put together a film team, make a short film, like the usual. And there was a point from my memory where, for example, everyone was fighting about who wants to be the director and who wants to be, you know, early, typical stuff, the biggest worries in the world, right? And while they were wasting their time doing that, I just said, oh, you know what, I'll just go and talk to the professor, have a bit of a chat, because he has industry contacts. And I just outright asked him, like, I don't want to wait to finish uni before I get into the industry. I really want to have a good crack and get my leg in the door. Do you know anyone? I'm happy to do anything, absolutely anything for free. And I think he saw that little bit of a difference that I was just talking about. And then I guess that sets a bit of trust, and he can say, oh, okay, I can give you this contact who can help you. And I think I just kept doing that, right? Like, the other thing was I never got comfortable. So even now, I think about it, I'm working full-time in the film industry with a phenomenal production company, which is SPRY Films, as I said, in Brisbane. I'm not even from Australia. How have I done it? But it's just never being comfortable. Even now, you know, I still have conversations with Paul. It's like, how can I step up? How can I step up? I sometimes don't even know what I'm doing when it's a bigger production, and I figure it out. And I think it's just building trust and showing that you can always chew a little bit more.
Would you say that he's hard on you and tells you every little thing you need to keep getting better?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's the
He doesn't seem like the type to just let little things
slide.
No.
You know? Paul is very very critical of how we do certain things, but that's what I love, right? So
it's the best learning environment.
For sure. I reckon, and that's the other thing, which might answer your question. Let me know if I'm going off on a tangent. Is, you know, how was I able to do it? I don't get scared or offended. So at my very first production company with Pluggers, Fish, who's a very good friend of mine now, he was so hard on me, like extremely hard on me, but in a phenomenal way, you know. And he'd point out any little minor thing. And a lot of people kind of get what's it called? Sorry. What's the word?
Insecure.
Insecure, or they just kind of, it's too much for them and they walk away. And I think that's what differentiates me. It's where I'll go head on and try and just take it.
You have to have thick skin in this industry.
Yeah, that's right.
100%. Like a funny anecdote is there was someone at my film school, because I didn't go the uni route, but I went to film school, got a diploma in screen and media. And there was one kid there who really wanted to be an editor. And it was when we were doing our first short film production, and like he shows everyone the first draft, everyone's got something to say, he like walks out of the room because he just can't handle it. And we're all like, dude, like you're never going to hand in something that's just you're never going to do anything that's perfect, whether you're the editor, producer, director, writer, filmer, whatever. There's going to be something that can be improved, and it's if you come into it thinking that, it's almost narcissistic to think that like what you're going to do is just good enough straight off the bat, you know? Right. Yeah. And that was, I learned it very much from that day forward. I'm like, you have to accept the criticism. It's because it's also trying to help, right? Like these people, they're on your jobs. They're also a part of the production as well. They want it to be as good as it can possibly be. That's right. So all they're trying to do is help you.
Really. Yeah, that's right.
If you want to like be a producer, producers and first ADs are kind of the ones that aren't always the most liked on set.
That's right. I've definitely learned that. Obviously, like for example, I've only met you, Logan, like about 15 minutes ago, and it feels like I've known you for a while. So I open up really easy, and I think that was one of the first lessons I've learned, where I thought everyone is like, all right, we can do this as a team. I'm very easygoing. I like to communicate. I obviously still make human error and whatnot, but just naturally, even if I haven't met certain crew, they're just, that's the producer. Don't like that guy. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh man, I thought I was pretty cool. But but yeah, for sure. I think thick skin is definitely the way to go. But you know, also we're at an age, like, how old are you, Raph?
23 as well.
23. So we're the same age. And I think you can admit as well, you find this at 23, you think you deserve everything. You're amazing. I want to do this. I want to do that. A little bit of entitlement, a little bit of a know-it-all. And then every once in a while you get like your mentors like Paul and Fish. And I've had many more who just kind of like push you right back down to where you belong. And if you're not willing to shy away from that, which is really hard, I think you'll make it pretty far.
Yeah. So what kind of stuff were you doing in the very beginning? Just to go back to, you said you were going to accept basically anything. You were going to do work for free. How much free work did you end up doing?
Oh God.
Because I think people need to understand that. Like, you can't really just get in there, do what you want, and get paid for it as well. Like it is.
Yeah. And that's also a very hard pill to swallow. I reckon it's, I found like a lot of creatives, I understand that this is work, you know, so people need to make a living. So if it's, you know, selling records, making music, making art, photography, at the end of the day, it's a line of work which we use every day and we consume every day without even noticing. And a lot of people don't understand that. And so what I've realized, even at uni sometimes, they really push where you have to protect your identity and your work, and you have to get paid, and you have to, you know, say no to a job if you're not going to get paid for it. And a lot of the times people get so consumed by that and distracted by that, where they'll end up saying no to opportunities that lead you to very well paid work forever.
I've always thought there was like a huge difference between people who start out in the industry and live at home versus have to pay rent and bills.
That's right. That is
a massive difference, you know.
Such a good point.
If you're lucky enough to live with your parents.
There's that too, but I also came from the side of like, I came in while I was also working another job. So like I didn't need to make money. Like I was happy to just spend my time and earn basically nothing because I was making a living on the side. So
if that job's flexible though. You have to always have room to shoot.
Yeah, of course. So like, and what I think I went on a bit of a tangent, but what I'm trying to say is, which will lead into how much free work have I done? I've seen so many, for example, peers at uni who were so talented, but they just wouldn't take the opportunity because it's unpaid or it's barely paid.
Another issue I've seen, sorry to interrupt, I keep on interrupting, but there's also like, say I want to make music videos. There's a lot of people that want to make music videos and don't understand that you have to do other things to get there. So they're going to say no to everything that isn't a music video, realizing that you're not just going to get a music video kind of thing as well.
That's right. And that's so true. Cause like, and that's going back to what I was saying, like, don't shy away from any opportunity. Like I remember, and if I'm being quite honest, like I had to do like some very, very bad, low quality real estate videos. I'll be honest, I was not passionate about it whatsoever. But I just thought like, I need to get a camera in my hand and I just need to let one person know that this is what I want to do, because one could lead to 2 and 3 and 4. So then back to what you were saying in regards to free work, while my peers were saying no, I was saying yes. So I've done, off the top of my head, what was I doing? I was a full-time student at uni. I was working as a casual, but I was working pretty much Monday to Sunday at this point at BWS. I don't even drink alcohol. So
That's ironic. Do you know about it?
Sorry?
Do you know like what to recommend?
Look, I don't think BWS can come back for me, but to anyone I sold wine to, I have no idea what I was talking about.
What's Savignon Blanc?
Yeah.
I thought as an Italian you'd at least know the wine.
Yeah, I can pronounce it, the Italian wines, but that's about it. And then while I was doing that, I think for fish at Pluggers, I did about 3 or 4 months of free work. And when I say free, I'd mean genuinely free. And then because he was a really nice guy, he'd help me out a bit. Yeah. And eventually he saw like, oh, okay, this kid's pretty good. He started giving me a little bit of money. Yeah. But it was never like in a way of taking advantage of me. It was always discussed. And I think that's the other thing. A lot of people take advantage of free work in the industry. But
you could also look at it as free education as well.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. So for those 3 or 4 months, I was pretty much doing free work for him. And then on top of that, I was doing like little music video gigs as a runner for another friend on the sunny coast. Once again, had no idea what I was doing. But it just snowballs, right? And then after a while, they just see potential and they call you back for paid work. And you're like, wow, I'm finally getting paid. And then like Raf was saying, it's like there's that balance of, am I in the industry or am I still relying on my other job? So I had to do that for a good 6 months on top of that before I was like, okay, I think I can do it. And then that's when I jumped in with Pluggers and started doing their doco stuff and their brand storytelling. But then even there, I had to work my way up. So I started off as a PA. I think as an assistant, creative director's assistant. And then from there, moved my way up into like production management. And then just towards the end of my time with them, I moved into producing.
So how long was this? 2 years kind of thing? Or?
With him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or to go from getting coffees to producer?
Oh, look, to be honest, 3 years. I'd probably say 3.
That's incredible.
3 years.
That's really good, right?
Yeah.
When was the first time you got coffees for someone? Was it longer than 3 years ago?
10 years ago.
But yeah, like, look, but to be honest, like, I still do it. Like, I think that's the other thing. I don't want people to think that I'm just a hot shot now that I've made it.
So you do still go on sets and you're not always the producer? You'll still go on?
Oh, look, at the moment, this is the one thing that I love about working with Paul is although I'm early in my career as a producer, Paul and even Haley, who's the other company director of SPRY, and then the EPs I work with. So, for example, right now I'm working with Damien Tiernan and Deb Cross. They can see past my experience and they still respect where I am and give me those opportunities. But it's me, myself going, no, I don't deserve to just sit here next to the client and watch the monitor all day while everyone who's twice my age, gripping, gaffing, moving lights around. Like I haven't earned that yet. So I will go and grab the client coffees. I will go grab crew waters.
You can't get too comfortable.
That's right. Yeah. Like I'm still not there.
Yeah. Like you're working on stuff with $200,000 budgets and more. I don't know what the highest is, but
yeah.
The ad we were on was pretty expensive.
It was pretty expensive, and I'll be honest. We just did pickups on that day. So before I arrived, there was another producing team who did the actual main part of the shoot. And it was crazy. They had yachts, helicopters, and it was amazing. But so to answer your question, although I'm doing what I'm doing, I still do the coffee runs. I still do the midnight calls, buying unit food. So everyone thinks I just show up and make a fancy call sheet, but I can assure you we're doing a lot of the graveyard.
But do you like doing that stuff as well? Or
look, I don't think anyone likes doing it.
Yeah.
But it's not a pride thing. It's just more like I said, everyone's always hungry to do it.
But I guess, I mean, like, when I say do you like it, you learn a lot of other skills as well, because you'll know what to tell other people that work under a producer, if you know what I mean? Like, you know more what's required, the whole process.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally right. So, look, I still do it.
Being a producer, you need to know everything inside out.
Yeah, flex a little bit for people that don't know. What exactly does a producer do?
Oh, I don't know. I might have to Google it, actually.
They just show up and order people around.
It's so funny you asked that, because it's crazy. Every time I think I know what a producer does, I then learn something else, and I'm like, I now don't know what a producer does anymore. So when I first started, very, very, very first on, I thought the producer was just a hotshot who wore a tie and suit, walked into a meeting, signed a couple contracts, shows up to set.
Takes people's money.
That's right. Flies out, does whatever they want.
Yeah.
Turns out that's far from reality. unless you're high up in LA.
A bit more stress involved.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot more groundwork to do. Look, producing in a nutshell, and I'm actually very curious to look back at this interview in about 3 years' time. Producing in a nutshell for me at the moment is client relations, managing finance, and then logistics.
Yep.
Yeah. That's at least what I'm focusing on at the moment. However, as time goes on, I've realized that there's different kind of producers. You've got your line producers. You've got your executive producers. I've heard this term the other day. There's also creative producers. Yeah. So apparently there's a wide varying bunch of us that do different things. Yeah. At the end of the day, I personally still think all those three pillars that I just said are the foundation to every kind of producer. Yeah. And then your expertise and your title is what differentiates certain roles. So, for example, at the moment, the type of producing I'm doing is a lot of logistics and finance. And then I'm just now slowly trying to move my way into client relations and BDing, which is honestly an art of its own.
Business development.
Correct.
What exactly is that with production? So, yeah.
How does it work? How do we do it?
Well, no, what are you trying to develop? What kind of business are you trying to develop? Get more scripts, more contracts?
Oh, okay. Yes, I see what you mean.
Because it's like how I've learned business, like I used to work with a recruitment agency and their business development was calling people and trying to get jobs. Yeah. Basically.
Well, look, BD, I think also just falls into so many things, right? Like at the moment, the BD that I'm doing personally is trying to polish the face of SPRY, for example.
Okay.
So
is that your job, or you're just taking that on? Like, is that a producer's job normally, or you're just deciding that you love this company, you want it to look good in the face of the public?
Look, that's a pretty good question. I think personally, yes. If it was a big company like Google or Apple, they'd have a whole marketing team who do the website, who do all the social media. At the moment,
you have a few roles.
Yeah, I have a few roles. So,
and how big is SPRY?
Sorry?
How big is SPRY? How many people are there?
Look, at the moment at SPRY, we have 2 like executive producers. We have me as a producer. We have Paul Jiggle as the company director alongside Haley, who's also the company director. So it's 50-50. And then, so that's the core team. And then we have producers based in Asia, Europe, and for example, the States, South Africa, things like that, who aren't working 24/7. It's more just when certain ideas or pitches come in and they're based in those regions, that's when we take them on.
Hopefully, though, you get to go on some of those international trips.
I know, right? I mean, look, for example, I've done
I know Paul. He's everywhere.
Yeah, I know. Asia, even today, Paul was telling me over the phone, he's like, oh, I might be going to Saudi. I might be going to Dubai. Yeah. I'm like, that's awesome. Am I coming? No. He always gets me involved. But back to your question, is it meant to be my job? I'm not going to say no. I'm not entitled. I'll do it. I like it. Also helps me understand the company more because I get to break it down. But yeah, if we're in a ginormous company, marketing team would do it. Because we're a small core team, I'm not going to get an executive producer to do it. So.
When you work for A24, you probably
That's right. That's right. I'll just pass it on.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what does make it look better to the public? What kind of things are involved in this business development?
In regards to like the face of a company?
Yeah, because like for instance, for us, I'd say to look better in the eye of the public, we should look like experts in our field, for instance. So what kind of things are you trying to make SPRY look like?
Look, for us at the moment is we're a production company, obviously, that facilitates production A to Z, but we're more than that, because the thing that we've done and worked very hard on is we have a list of national and international directors that we have access to 24/7. We have access to some amazing creative directors who can help and be attached to any project that can help build a creative pitch for the client. And then we also have an amazing relationship with 3P Studios, who's a post-production company, and we work very closely side by side. And because we have such good connections with the directors, creative directors, and an entire post team, those are the things that we think are important to show on a SPRY website or a SPRY Instagram. So I think what that shows creative directors and other agencies is, okay, so these guys aren't just call us if you want us to put together a team. It's they have a director for every job. So even in our directors list, we got directors that are specialized in VFX, specialized in property, specialized in car commercials, food commercials, content, animation, honestly A to Z. And that's what we work really hard on. And we're constantly looking for new director talent and rotating that list while building those relationships with the creative directors and the 3P team.
Do you have to pick out directors for shoots at all?
Like me personally, or just as SPRY? Oh, look, at the moment, the way that it works is because the EPs that I'm working with know the industry both in Brisbane and nationally inside out, because they've been doing it for 30 plus years. As soon as someone goes to them and says, I need a car commercial, they'll just be like, bam, I know 6 guys, bop, 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 bop. And they'll come to me and say, all right, let's set up this and let's get going.
I was almost going to say that's a different level of producer as well, the network that the producer has. Like, because that's half the time is just they need to ring you and they need you to make the fastest call kind of thing. They don't need you to make 10 more calls to find the person.
That's exactly right. And that's the thing that, for example, Paul is really trying to like slam into my brain is he always says the little black book. Every producer has their little black book, and he wants me to grow mine.
Yep.
And to go back to
how many business cards have you got at home?
Oh man, I think in my bag there I got about 4. I'm just kidding. And going back to what you're saying before, what is a producer? It's also that little black book, and that's what people want. You know, it's your years of experience, years of crew, years of contacts you put together, where they know if they call you, you can get the job done.
Knowing everybody, casting people,
well, that's
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Extras.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy how much my black book's grown in the last year with SPRY, which I'm super, super happy about. But in regards, I think the question, sorry, just going back because I've gone on a tangent, the question was, what do we want on the page? Like,
pretty much,
the front face. Yeah, I think at the moment, just showing director expertise, production expertise, and good contacts with production facilities, post-production facilities.
Yeah.
Is producing your end goal?
Look, I'll be honest, I've fallen in love. I've started as the typical...
This is what I want to unpack, actually, with what fascinated me about you, because looking on your website and reading the interview that was in the Sunshine...
Did you read it?
University
I didn't read it.
Yeah, I read it. But it basically... It basically... It sounded like you obviously fell in love with the creative side. Behind the camera, you wanted to make beautiful images, beautiful pictures, basically. But then there was another quote in the article where you said it all starts with the business.
Yeah.
It all starts with the logistics, the money. So I want to break down your relationship with the creative and business side of it.
Yeah.
Did you stop loving the creative side and love the business side? Did it just naturally lead into that?
I was even going to ask, did you want to be a creative producer like you just mentioned?
Yeah, you see, so these are such good questions.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Totally different
therapy,
skills.
Right?
I want to break this one down because this fascinates me.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
One
I
side
think
is
a lot of people are the same. They see that movies look awesome. They're like, damn, it emotionally engages me because there's sound and lighting and cool actors basically.
That's right.
But then you actually get into it and you realize that just to even get to that point, there's a year's worth of work before that.
Well, do me a favor, if I'm going on a tangent, bring me back, because it's so good. Because obviously this question, as soon as you asked me, I didn't just think of the last year. I thought of since I was 14.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like everyone in this industry, at least most people, we all want to be the director or the DOP, right? Because technically that's all we know.
Or if you want to be like in the shadows, you want to be the writer.
Actually, I forgot about writing, which shows you how much I don't like writing.
Those are the people that like want to be famous but don't want to be recognized in the street.
That's right. So I was just like anyone else, right? You go to a movie, you watch it. As soon as the lights come on, you get up, you leave. You don't even realize there's credits, right?
Yep.
And I've fallen in love with that creative side and just the magic of cinema and what can come on a screen. And this doesn't just go for movies, this goes for commercials, because the world is changing now. I think we can all admit there's some amazing commercials out there.
I'll even see a 15-second reel that I'm like, oh damn, that is done so well.
That's
like,
right. And it's changing so quick, and it's changing on us as a business. Like, we have to keep up with all these creative directors and how they want to operate. But back to what I was saying, it was I started off like anyone else, watching movies. I just consumed it, fell in love with the creative. I was always consuming, didn't really take it in. Obviously, like anyone in their teens, they fell in love with the magic on screen. You completely ignore business and finance, right? You think everyone on set is just like, hey guys, let's make a movie, let's have fun, like film school kind of thing. And you forget that everyone's getting paid a lot of money to put this together.
Yep.
And I can tell you exactly where it changed for me, and I remember to this day. I was 14, and I was in Hungary, Budapest, because that's where my mom's from. And I was visiting my uncle, Adam Vándor, who owns a very big post-production studio in Budapest called SPRY. He's worked on
oddly close to
similar
SPRY.
It's like the Hungarian version.
I know, right? The Hungarian version. And he's done some amazing stuff. He's worked on all the big ads, the Heinekens, the Coca-Colas. He's done like the Die Hard movies. He's
so it runs in the family a bit.
Yeah. He does well.
Maybe you'll move to the Hungarian film industry.
I know, it's such a different world though. I talk to him every once in a while, and it's just completely different world. A lot of politics, I think.
Yeah.
But back to what I was saying, it was went to a studio. I was 14. I had no idea. I've never been to a studio. I've only ever seen a movie on a screen. And he took me around the studio, took me around through like some of the artists and the 3D guys, took me into the client room where there's a big screen and all his monitors. And he's a colorist. So that's what he specializes in. And he was in the middle of color grading this action movie. And he just said, oh, look, I'll just show you like a quick 60 seconds just so you understand what I do. Clicked play, and I was just lost. And there was no color on it. He still had things masked out, made no sense.
Yeah.
You know, if they're shooting guns, there was no like flares or anything. It looked weird, but I just fell in love. And that's when I realized, so there's creativity and there's business. Because I finally realized there's people behind all of this magic.
Yeah.
And it just all slowly fell into place.
Yeah.
And that was my first time I realized, okay, so there's creativity and then there's business. Years go by, I go to uni, same thing. I'm all about creativity, directing, cinematography. I joined my first production company with Pluggers. And then I remember Fish, a client came in, they had a meeting, and then he started budgeting. and I was just a PA, and I didn't even know. Like, I didn't know.
Hearing these insane numbers being
Right,
thrown
there's
around.
these insane
People's
numbers.
yearly salaries.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. Like, I didn't know a gaffer was this rate.
Yeah.
A best boy was this. To be honest, I didn't even know the difference between a gaffer.
Yeah, I was
and
going
a
to say,
grip.
did you know what a gaffer was?
No,
Like-
I didn't even know what a gaffer was or a grip was. I honestly did not know anything.
Yeah.
And the relationship between creativity and business did not click immediately at all.
Were you intimidated by it?
110%. I remember when I had to put together my first budget, I was petrified because it's not just oopsies, I got a number wrong. It's I completely now have lost profit. I have underpaid someone. I now need to pay them because obviously it's my job.
Yeah.
Where am I going to find that money? It's in my profit. And when I say profit, I don't mean that as a big bad producer. I'm just saying you guys need to make profit. So you have your markup, we have our markup.
You can get a bad reputation if people are underpaid as well.
Well, that's right.
Even if the budget's lower, you have to be careful. And
well, that's right. And once you've made an agreement or you've signed a contract, that's
you have to pay
what's your own.
Yeah.
So that's not a problem at all. It's just if I've accidentally done the maths wrong at a budget.
That's what I was going to say. You're like
Do you know what I mean?
semi an accountant.
That's right. It's like semi-accounting as well. So by the end of this career, I'll have a few, which is funny. I'm going to go on a little tangent. It's funny because the amount of producers I've met who've done so many things. They've done accounting.
I'm not
They've
surprised.
done project management for not even film companies, for like a social media company or an art gallery. Do you know what I mean?
I find that it is like directors of random companies often just become producers because
That's
they have the network already.
If there's any role on set, it's the producer that's come from a different industry.
That's right. They're like the weirdest, like out of pocket person. But back to what I was saying. So as business slowly got introduced and integrated into my role, as I slowly stepped up, like you said, putting together first budget, terrifying, doing the first phone call with crew member to try and negotiate or understand a rate, terrifying. And obviously these things, like anything in life, just snowballs, becomes bigger and bigger. Like I'm now currently putting together a budget for something I've personally never done before. And
what do you mean by that? Like a project?
Like a project. It's a project of a scale and budget with a very quick turnaround that I have never done. And I'll be honest, like I'm feeling it.
Is most of the work TVCs or other?
Yeah, look, at the moment, the world I'm working in is TVC and commercial.
So I can imagine movies is just a whole nother level. But
Movies
this
are
is
like
great practice for that.
Well, that's exactly it. Like movies are a whole completely different level.
You're not going to have one day to turn it around.
Yeah, that's right.
Months and months.
That's right. I think movies is more,
yeah.
You get more time in the pre. And once again, I might be completely wrong. We can laugh about it in 5 years' time. Look at it. But from my understanding, movies will only move into pre-production once all the paperwork and you know,
once the money's there, locations are sorted, like
talent are sorted, then they move into pre. A lot of the times we operate commercials, like you'll have creative directors call us. Here's a creative. We honestly have 2 weeks to turn this around into production. It's like, I need to figure out budget, crew, cast.
Do you ever have to put a budget together for something that doesn't get made, just to present it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is that quite often?
A lot of the times. A lot of times. Like, and you'd be surprised. And it's not just us. Like, different production companies, we're all bidding for the same job.
It's competitive out there.
That's right. And sometimes we win it. Sometimes they win it. We'll put so much time, resources, and effort into it.
It's not
just
paid at all.
Nothing to get made.
I wonder what's like the longest amount of time you put into something.
Me? Look,
just companies in general.
So what do you mean? Sorry.
The longest amount of time.
You hear about films being in development hell for like 20 years.
20.
I'm pretty sure like Avatar.
Yeah, wasn't Wolf of Wall Street like some crazy number, like 8 years?
I'm thinking more just for ads, stuff like lower scale stuff.
How long? What's the longest it took me to get it from like, here's an idea to let's get going? I think, now I might be wrong.
Like how many times going back and forth with the client?
Oh God. Oh man, you're giving me like Vietnam flashbacks.
Just seeing email chains.
Seeing email chains. Oh wow, we might take a break. I think honestly the longest one was probably 6 weeks.
That's not too bad.
But in the world commercial, that's so slow.
Yeah.
Like especially for like a 90
I feel like
second.
we've had.
Do you
things drag
remember
on
that
longer
one,
than
that
though?
job in Noosa? They were asking me like 30 questions every time, and I was
Yeah.
answering them in depth, and
Yeah,
then I
yeah.
didn't end up getting it.
Yeah,
So
it
much
happens.
time.
Yeah, I think around 6 weeks, but it's it's pretty slow for commercial, because in 6 weeks time, while I'm doing that, I have 3 others that I'm working on.
Yeah.
So you're always trying to push, you're trying to like push the ball uphill at all times.
What works to your advantage though? Like, why do you think you've got the ad compared to someone else at certain times?
To us, a lot of the times, I'll be honest,
Like, it's just luck, or?
no, I think budget is probably not a major factor in my opinion, because at the end of the day, client says I have
If they're
X
willing to
number.
spend money, they're willing to spend money, right?
That's
Like,
right. Like if they say I have X and you can do it in X, that's not a problem. Also, if they say I can do it in X and you go over that, it's just a simple no thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a bit of negotiation. Can we take this money, move it here? But
Yeah.
money is money. It's there on the table. You either take or you don't. The client doesn't really budge too much with that. It's all creative. Like the amount of resources that the director and the creative director put into it. Because at the end of the day, it's the idea that sells. And
How do you convince people that aren't creative that the creative part is the important part though? Does that make sense?
That actually does make sense.
People that have no idea what like a certain element of animation is going to add to a video, how do you
Yeah.
But
convince them?
don't
that
people in those roles usually have a good understanding that are wanting the ad for their company?
They actually do. So look, everyone I've worked with so far, clients, creative agencies,
I
creative
think at that
directors,
level,
at that level,
they know.
they all have been in the game long
They've
enough
done it,
to know.
Yeah. Like they even ask what cameras you're using, and they
that's
care
right.
about that a lot.
That's right. Or sometimes I'll pick up the phone and they'll tell me like, I need to do this, and they already know how to do it. They just need me to put it together. How do you convince them though? It's interesting. Most of them do know what they're talking about. However, you have your very green clients who, for example, might have had nothing to do with any production. So for example, if we're doing direct to client, right? Like let's say we want to come to the record shop, right? And do something for them. The owner might not know anything about production, and then we have to hold their hand and actually show them examples of why it will add value. So a lot of the times we put a lot of time and resources into even putting together like
just the pitch document,
pitch documents and grabbing a lot of references from previous productions and showing them, look, this is what you want and we've done it. Here's an example. It's cool, but for an extra X amount, let's add some animation
X
to
amount's
it.
like
And it's
30,000 or
like
50,000.
X amount, couple bucks.
that loose change.
And then it's like, oh, okay, he didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah.
So I think it's also my job and the creative team's job to educate and guide people, because no one knows everything. I don't know everything. I sometimes have to be guided, and I'm happy to guide a client. But to answer your question, how do you convince someone who's just strictly business? We do have a lot of them, and we just have to show them a lot of examples. A lot of examples,
which I'm guessing sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
Correct. You'll still have clients who are just very strong.
They're like 100,000 for that.
Yeah, that's right.
Just for that one shot.
That's right. And it's like, but it's so beautiful. It looks so good, and they just don't see value in it. But that's fine. Like, you have a bit of a whinge about it. But honestly, 60 seconds later, I have to just...
Do you compromise though, or do you just have you?
Oh yeah, all the time. I think that's the beauty about this industry, right? It's like there's no right, there's no wrong. I'm not better than the client, and vice versa.
Yeah, you're seeing it from different perspectives.
You're seeing it from different perspectives. He's giving me a lot of his money and a lot of his resources to make something. A lot of trust. Yeah, that's right. To make something that he knows nothing about. Yeah. So it's my job to guide him, and it's his job to guide me, and we both have to understand and compromise a lot. But you'd be amazed, like as stressful as it can be. Once you call wrap and you have all the footage in the drive, it's just the most rewarding feeling. And then it's even more beautiful once you see it in the edit room, getting put together. So
Is there a way you have to prove that the ad is going to be effective to the audience, like statistics of
It depends.
Data about that?
It depends. There's so many different ways that we put it together, right? So if we're doing client agency production, so there's the agency between us, no, because the agency takes care of that, because they have a whole marketing team that do all the pitch docs and if you do this and you put it on socials, it'll gain you 8% views, whatever. Then no. If we're doing it direct to client, still not so much, because a lot of the times they're just doing your pretty standard deliverables, right? TVC and some stills, and then their internal marketing team will then take care of the logistics and statistics as to how that actually works out. But yeah, I'm just trying not to forget your question about
let's circle back to that. So obviously you were on the creative side, you were behind the camera. Did it slowly you weren't getting paid jobs in the creative side, but you were on the business side of things as a line producer or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I personally think, first of all, naturally the more business side is within me. So as much as I'd love to pick up a camera and shoot and set up lighting and do wardrobe and whatnot, it's just not for me. As soon as I got shown an Excel sheet, which is so boring to you guys and the world outside.
No, surprisingly, I actually wouldn't mind producing one day.
Really?
Yeah, I think I actually think it's quite interesting.
No, I mean, it's honestly... Yeah. It's honestly one of those jobs where
I think you just have so many more variables to think about.
That's right. And let's not take prep away from, for example, the gaffs. The gaffs technically are the right-hand man of a DOP.
And if they do a bad job, it's going to look terrible.
They do a bad job, they do terrible. And the gaff needs to understand camera, because then they know where to place lights, and they need to understand talent. So everyone is very, very smart. It's just a lot of the times we're in the front end, which crews don't have to do. So all the deals, the negotiating.
I think one of the most important things is to be a people's person.
That's right.
You have to be good with people.
That's right. And then you go straight to the back end, where once the crew's done, I now have to, alongside post producers, have to try and drive the production and the back end. So to answer your question, I think producing and logistics naturally fell into place for me. I don't think it was anything to do with money. So if I'm being honest, I've never looked at money as a way to move forward. I will be honest though, I've always liked the sound of a stable income. I'll be honest, I don't know how I would do if I was freelance. So I'm definitely very lucky at the moment with the position I have, where I've fallen to a full-time role.
I don't even know what producing freelance is like. I think that would be more of a tricky role to do.
It's interesting. I was actually talking to a freelance producer. I think she was based in Melbourne, I think. And she's killing it. And most of them are, I think. But what she said, though, is she did what I was doing, where she was working full-time for X amount of years until her black book grew to the point where it's like, I can now go off on my own. I have my own clients. I have my own team. And she just rolls her own projects back to back. But in regards to your business question, it was never a matter of creative or business. I naturally fell into the business side of it. Once again, nothing to do with finance, because I was too young and dumb to even think about finance. It was just something that fell in, and I just fell in love with. And the one thing I definitely do love about producing is you get to be a part of the creative and the logistics from A to Z. So it's not like, a grip who comes in at pre, does the bump in, shoots, bumps out, and then he's done. I get to be from literally.
You get to see the whole you get to see it come to life, and you have investment in how it goes.
Well, that's right.
Once the results in the
you have to have a strong vision as well.
Correct. And I think as I grow in my career, I'll be able to have more say with certain things. That's the one thing I definitely kind of envy with a lot of VPs at the moment is they can just walk into a room and just tell the client or the director in such a beautiful way, like, no, we're doing it this way, or no, let's do it that
That's a
way.
funny one, right? Because how many people say that, like, how many big directors say the producers ruined their movie?
Yeah.
But how many, like, all the movies that went well, the producers did a fucking awesome job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
But you definitely have to be able to say no to things. Like, you have to be unliked at times. And
yeah, oh, for sure. And look, I'm still learning that. Like,
Yeah.
I think my biggest lesson was learning to love the word no, 100%.
Yeah.
I think we're all so scared of it, right? Because it's such a negative word. It's so quick, so sharp, and it can end anything, right?
Yeah.
But if you actually think about it, the word no can be so beautiful, I think, because it doesn't mean no, you're wrong, no, this sucks, no, we're not doing it. It just means no, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times you can keep going
Yeah.
and you can build something so beautiful.
I'm sure if you work with a bunch of different production companies, you're going to meet some directors that are like, I want it my way, no matter what.
Oh,
I don't care about the money. Like, let's just make this happen.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have to say whether that's realistic or not.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've had a few experiences, not as bad as what you were describing, but
Yeah.
I've definitely had some very headstrong directors. But at the end of the day, there is no issue with saying no to the producer or no to the crew or no to the client.
Yeah.
I think it's if he does it in a certain style and backs it up with a why.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, the team is like, no, you know what, you're right. Let's actually do it. And I, as a producer, will fight harder. Like the amount of times.
The only thing would be is if you said no to something that could have been done.
Yeah, that's right.
Be annoying. But
That's exactly right. And for example, like I've worked with Paul a lot. As you know, Paul's a visionary.
Yeah.
Everything has to be perfect on screen. And I'm actually very, very lucky that I'm getting to work with him early in my career because he's kind of developing my skill sets.
Yeah.
And he's very precise. And he said it's not my way or the highway. He's very strong and passionate about his opinion. And he convinces me and shows me why.
He knows what he's talking about.
He knows what he's talking about. Like, he does not mess around.
Yeah.
And after he's shown me, it's like, oh, you're right. And you fight for him when you're at a client meeting, you know?
Yeah.
The client will say, why not? And and we come up with creative ways of saying no. Don't get me wrong. But you fight for the director, and at the end of the day, it actually works out for everyone.
I wonder with how long he's been in the industry, if he has to really think hard about it, or he just like.
Look, I'll be honest. Like I've seen him work his magic in like client meetings, even in the last 2 days. The client will give him the most basic, useless brief, and he will just unwrap it in 5 seconds and just understand it and break it down. And he knows how to ask all the right questions. I'll probably only ask, out of the 10 questions, I'll probably only ask 6 good ones, and then I'll forget about the other 4, and he'll pick that up. So I think it just clicks, right? They've done it so many times. They've done so many productions with so many different variables where their experience makes them pretty well-rounded. So yeah, he's pretty quick with his answers. I feel so bad because I keep forgetting about your business question.
I feel like we did basically close it up. You answered it. Like you said,
I think you've answered it.
You just naturally kind of felt that way about it, which I find is interesting.
Yeah. I think, and sorry to cut you off, the only thing I would add to it to wrap it up is for example, the thing that I learned when it comes to business and creativity is very early on, and I think this is more important for film students or young guys that are trying to get into the industry. They're very busy with what's on screen and what's on paper to the point where they've now created this beautiful thing and they have no idea how to make it.
Yeah.
That's what I've realized. The amount of friends, but even me, I've had so many like little ideas in uni and scripts and short stories and commercials and whatnot. And then I just not know what to do with it. And I just sit on my computer desktop.
Yeah.
And I think that's where business kicks in. It's like, I now actually need to show this to someone. I now need to start negotiating. I now need to start talking to different crews, and also not shying away from taking my idea and handing it to someone who's more experienced who can then take it on for me. I'm still long on the ride.
That's an interesting thing, actually. Have you found you've become like less protective of your work over time? So I feel I definitely have when it was very early on. Like if someone offered me something, like it had to be mine, had to be me that did it. Like everything about it had to be me.
Oh yeah. Oh no, for sure. I think your ego and entitlement just slowly. slowly
well, I think maybe
right?
one half of it goes down, the other half goes
up
a
that's
bit.
right.
Because I think it goes without saying, I think you are quite humble, but I think it's a job where you do need a bit of an ego as well. Like you need to be able to
a little bit of what, sorry?
A bit of an ego.
Yeah.
You need to be able to stand up for yourself, and like if you truly believe that you're right in a situation, you need to be able to like put your foot down, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's maybe that's why a lot of producers do rub people the wrong way, because they're a little bit too like stubborn and a little bit.
Well, that's right. That's totally right. Look, I'm definitely working on the ego side and standing up for myself, but I think that just comes with time and experience.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna walk into a room and just say, guys,
got a bunch of 60-year-olds with gray hair. And
that's right.
Like, listen to me.
I know what I'm doing. I know I've shaved. I look young, but I know what I'm doing. So I think it comes with time. There are definitely times when I know, not that I'm right, but I know I could definitely add a bit of value. But a lot of the times it's just better if I just not pull back, but just say my opinion and then kind of work it in with the big dogs. But yeah, definitely there's a nice balance.
Yeah. Is there an adrenaline rush to these ones where you have to turn it around super fast though? Like, is there something about that you love, or does it just stress you
out? In regards from like coming in from a client to production?
Yeah. Because there's got to be an element of like, it keeps you on your toes, and like it's a different challenge, right? And then once you know that you can turn something around in a week, you know that if you're given a month, you're going to kick it out of the park, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Adrenaline rush, not the right word. Stress-induced anxiety. Just a mustard acidic feeling. But no, I think definitely when it comes in, it hits you like a bus. Because a lot of the times I'm not just sitting there waiting for one to come in. I've got 3 other things moving, and now all of a sudden this clients come up and they're like, hey, by the way, you have a week or 2 weeks to turn this around. I'm like, guys, I'm like, for example, now I'm planning a really big one, but I'm also in pre-production for a shoot in Melbourne next week, and then tomorrow morning I'm on a shoot.
So you're gonna bring your laptop on the plane and
I think I'll be on the laptop. I was hoping to watch a nice movie, but not with
it's
what I've got going on. But
what's a producer's flow state? Like, I can be sitting there editing a video sometimes, and like 2 hours can pass by, and I've just made some magic. What is that for you? Is it just crunching numbers on a spreadsheet?
In a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
Look, honestly, day-to-day, I think, crunching numbers, which sounds riveting. Crunching numbers and organizing crew and certain creative logistics.
'Cause there must be at some point 30%, 60% of the way through the process where you start seeing all the dominoes fall together. That must be a bit like,
exactly.
This, it's happening.
I don't think if you were doing like normal accounting for a business, you would enjoy it as much.
Oh no, I sometimes
it's about the whole.
It's so funny. I sometimes go and sit in the accounting office when I'm just like too stressed out because it's so relaxed in there.
You just hear
typewriters.
Typewriter. But yeah, on a day-to-day basis, crunching numbers and then figuring out the initial logistics that will then lead to creative. But it's so funny because my girlfriend always asks me every day, it's like, how's your day? And I say, good.
Is she in the industry at all?
No, she's in the creative industry, so she's a dancer. She's actually just landed one of her first professional contracts dancing for the Royal Caribbean Cruises. I hope I did not butcher that. She'd be mad if she saw this.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, she's in the industry, but she's always asking me, what do you do day to day? What do you do? And I'm like, nothing much.
And then you show on your phone
and then I show her like the final product. She's like, what do you mean this is amazing? So day to day, boring stuff, crunching numbers and logistics. But to be honest, I've done some of the weirdest things. I've been on phone calls trying to find choppers and helicopters. I've been on phone calls trying to find super mega yachts.
That's maybe the most underappreciated thing about this industry, that sometimes the most silly sounding thing is like of paramount importance, right? Like it could be the weirdest prop for a video and it's like, we need this freaking thing.
So I've always thought as well, for people who aren't really who just want to get into the industry because they think it's cool and flashy. Not every minute is fun.
No.
There's a lot of stuff that is not fun.
Not at all.
It's an exciting career, but it's not always fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the times, like, what do you mean you get to like shoot on a yacht? I'm like, no, you don't understand. When I'm on set, I don't even realize I'm on a yacht.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm too worried that someone's gonna fall in. The camera's gonna go to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, how much? Because you've said so many times you're gonna look back at this interview, right? Do you think you have to look back at things to appreciate it? Are you too in the moment to actually take a step back sometimes? Because there was one time where we were on a job where we were shooting something, and Raf tells me all the time, he's like, he had a moment to look away from the camera and realize what was going on, and he was like, holy shit. And I didn't have that moment. I was behind the camera doing the thing. So like now I can see a Snapchat memory will come up and I'm like, oh, that's right, we were there. That was awesome.
No, that is actually so true. I definitely have had it. And it only lasts about 3 seconds before someone's like, Claudio, what are we doing?
Someone's like, oh.
Even just looking at the camera is like beautiful. It's like,
well, that's what I remember. I was on my
piece
first
of equipment,
set, right?
50,000.
Like, I was with Paul, or I can't remember, and I worked. My very first thought, I actually remember what it was. It was for a Dubai client, and it was my first big production. I think I had 30 crew, 5 extras, and 4 hero talent, and the grip came out with the crane, and I was like, oh yeah, I've made it. This is me. For about 2 seconds before I had to solve a problem, because it's so amazing.
Before the crane crossed someone's foot.
Yeah, that's right. Like there goes everything. Like straight to jail. But I've definitely had those moments where I step back and I do take it in. It's crazy how quick I've grown, and I definitely don't take it. I don't want to take it for granted. You know, it's
a lifestyle as well.
Yeah,
it's
that's
a lifestyle.
right.
Like, not many jobs do you have to do 60 nowadays.
That's right. Yeah. But I mean, once again, that just comes with a lot of logistics and client things that we need to manage. But I do get the moment where I get to step back and take it in, but it doesn't last long. But when it does, it's so beautiful.
Because I have to imagine, if I was working on Boy Swallows Universe, I would have had many of them.
Oh
right?
God.
Like, how was that? Tell us about that. How did you land that? What was going on with that?
It was amazing. Look, let me just say, I wasn't a producer on that one.
Okay.
I was in the locations department as a PA, and I was honestly just happy to exist.
Yeah, I've got a friend in New Zealand who was in locations for Rings of Power. Sounded like the best job. He just had to go look at beautiful scenery and be like, this is where we'll film it. This is where we'll film a giant battle scene.
So I wasn't a producer on that. I was a location PA. Honestly, just happy to even be on a call sheet for a Netflix production.
So
SPRY Films had nothing to do with that, was it?
SPRY had nothing to do with that. Okay. That was actually...
That's awesome. So they let you go out and do...
Oh yeah, exactly. No, it was amazing. I think it was actually like they overlapped each other. I think I was just finishing the show as I was with SPRY. So
right.
Yeah. But from memory, I think Paul was pretty flexible at the beginning.
Yeah.
How did it happen? How did it happen?
Did that opportunity come from being able to show you've done producing? Or was it not related at all?
That absolutely came from zero producing. I actually now know exactly how it happened. I was in the middle of a field in Western Australia shooting an avocado documentary. Sounds riveting. And I got a phone call from a good friend of mine who is an AD. And they needed third ADs, I think, in Boy Swallows Universe. Yeah. And he just gave me a call because I've done a little bit of work with him and he trusted me. I said, look, when I come back, I'm happy to jump on. Let's do it. A couple days or weeks go by, heard nothing, get another phone call. And I think it was the location manager who called me and just said, look, we don't need an AD. We filled that role, which is fine because I was so green. But I am looking for people in the PA division for locations. Do you want to do it? I said, hell yes, let's do it. And honestly, I did all the paperwork, got my first call sheet, and it was just so cool seeing like the Netflix. And I'm right down at the very, I had to go like 6 pages, and I'm right at the very bottom. But it was just riveting. And honestly, to be on a set like that, I probably shouldn't even say this. I didn't feel like I was working. And most of the time,
Yeah, was it by far the biggest production you've been a part of?
ginormous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mean you weren't working like there were so many PAs?
Oh no, as in like
Like it was a gift to be there.
it was just a gift to be there. So
Yeah.
there'd be times when I'm just like sitting there taking it in, and the location manager, who's lovely, Facundo, he just kind of nudged me like, "Come on, go." But he was so
Wakey, wakey.
kind. He was so kind. He every time he could see I was in awe, and he was like, "Okay, look, it's fine. Just come with me." And he took me to set, took me by the director's monitors. I got to see the talent right up close, like even just seeing.
What kind of things did you learn?
Oh my God, it's just like, first of all, the first thing I learned was no matter how big or how small, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's just instead of having one gaff, you'll have 3 or 4. Instead of having one best boy, you'll have 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Goes for every department.
Bigger scale.
So formula is the same. You just have to times it by 100.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave me like, oh, I could do this, because I just take what I'm doing now, and then over my career, I just grow it.
Yeah.
But the thing I learned was there are so many moving parts, and the bigger the project gets, I guess the best way to put it, and I might be wrong, is you have less responsibilities, but the responsibilities you have are big.
Yeah.
So if you mess up,
It's much more specialized, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
So right now, I as a producer, I put together call sheets, I do the schedule, I hold crew. A lot of the times you have an AD who does that.
Yeah.
You have a casting agent or a crew agent who holds crew. They do those things. I'd only be doing X logistics. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but on a big scale project, at least from my understanding, I wouldn't say less responsibilities, but less minor tasks to do. But the ones you do have on your plate, they're huge and they go for months.
It's because I suppose there's also so much more room for that to get lost, right? So it's like
Correct.
if you're looking after 3 things, you might not get those 3 things to everyone, whereas at least if you've got this one thing, we know we only have to go to you for this one thing kind of thing.
That's right. That's right. So I definitely learned that. But apart from that, I thought I would have been petrified and completely the words at the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. I definitely thought I was going to be just absolutely petrified of walking onto a set. I was day one. I didn't really know how to maneuver the set.
Yeah.
There's so many people on set, and I didn't know who was allowed to talk to who not. And also,
the first day on a big set is terrifying. It's like being
Have you done it?
Yeah, it's like being in a new school for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
You just
What
don't know.
did you do?
It was just a car commercial, but it was like a 250K like Korean car commercial. So people flown in from Korea. It was like
The Koreans are tough.
yeah.
Friendly but tough.
Yeah, couldn't understand a word they were saying because like the director.
You didn't
was
learn
obviously
Korean
whole
for the
different thing. But it was just like, there's so many movies. You don't want to get in anyone's way. Like
Yeah.
when that was the first time I had to use like a PA thing.
Oh,
too,
that's
and
the other thing. You're on the radios and you're like listening to all these people like screaming into your ear.
And then occasionally it's at you and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's
I'm
like,
back.
was that my name? I don't really know.
Yeah.
You just turn it off.
yeah.
But yeah, I did not know. Excuse me. I did not know how to maneuver a set.
Yeah.
Who to talk to, what to do. Am I allowed to do it now? Do you want me to do it later?
Yeah.
Things like that.
And
but
like if something goes wrong, like are you allowed to
yeah,
tell
do
people?
I just like scrape it under the carpet or do I have to tell someone? But
What was the coffee you wanted again?
Yeah. It's
They're
like,
about to shoot.
Oh no, they're lactose intolerant.
I'm now poisoned. The talent, it's terrible. But
Blacklisted.
apart from that, the formula is the same.
Yeah.
And as time went on, I got pretty confident. Well, I wouldn't say confident. I got comfortable with my role. But
How long were you on that set for?
that's a good question. I think I was on it. How long was I on it for? I think I was on it for like a good. I started in I think October, November, and then maybe just went to Christmas. So maybe 2.5 months.
5 days a week.
No. So I was a location PA casual.
Okay.
So they only called me in when when we were doing like the really big sets.
Yeah.
You've put that uni on the Sunshine Coast on the map.
Sorry?
You put that uni on the map.
Yeah, I know. USC.
Is that why they actually like? Is that why they love you?
Look, I don't really keep up with what the other students are doing. I do have a few people from my cohort who've done some pretty impressive things.
Yeah.
But
Because I personally don't actually know anyone that's come from there.
I've never spoken to anyone.
Well, no, I mean, like I don't know
you know
people that have done really. Like, not
funny?
to say they haven't been, but like you were one of the first names that I saw that like has actually led to like a. Big
I was
set
really
kind of
shocked
thing.
when you told me you went there. I don't know. I had this.
Oh, really?
I had this image in my mind that you were from America.
Oh yeah, true. Everyone
think I
thinks I'm
told you that.
American.
Yeah.
I've nothing to do
I
with
thought you'd gone
America.
to uni in America. And like,
No, I've literally got nothing to do with America. I'm half Italian, half Hungarian. Dad's
Yeah.
Italian, mom's Hungarian. But why do they love me? I don't know if love is a humble way to put it, but maybe. Look, obviously they're uni. I've put my time and resources into them.
yeah.
They've done the same for me, so I think it's fair that they want to.
Would you love to go back in
Prep
like
me.
20 years when you're a big dog and like be able to talk to the kids?
Look,
just like a one-off speech kind of
Tell
thing.
them I went, yeah.
100%. But I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was gonna email back the lady who wrote up the article for me, and I just said like, look, I've done this podcast. I'm more than happy to talk to the students even now, because at the end of the day, I remember, and you said you went to uni, right?
A film school.
A film school.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
QSF, Queensland School of Film and Television.
Oh,
in
okay,
Allen.
great. I don't know what it was like for you, but when they bring in guests and they're just so big and they're just so far to reach.
I was
probably
literally saying this
overwhelming.
to Raf the other day. Like it's unattainable, right? Like
Yeah.
there was a podcast that the previous one I produced. We spoke to a guy that was on Shark Tank, so you know he's a
Yeah.
billionaire, right?
Yeah.
And it's like his stories were just like, I walked into a room, everything went well, money fell into my pockets, kind of thing. And you're just like, I just need to hear that you fucked up somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I need to hear that you made some mistakes, that it was stressful. Like
And I am so glad you brought that up, because like that's the thing. Uni, they're so great, and obviously they have your best intentions for all of their students, but they bring in all these big dogs, right? And like you said, so unattainable, and it's just this massive success story.
yeah.
It's like I'd love to go back even now and not just do a speech.
And be like, I worked so many free jobs.
That's right. Sell your soul.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and not just do a speech, but like actually do workshops and
Yeah.
and you know just sit
Just
down
that you
with
haven't given up is like
them. Yeah, that's
that's
right. I have
inspiring.
not given up. Trust
a
me.
big percentage of people never really like pursue it after film school.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard.
and it's so sad.
Yeah,
And look,
definitely.
we have to be honest. Like a lot of the times, people in the creative industries, not the industry itself, but studying the creative industries, they kind of fall in because mom wants me to study something.
I was going to ask you that. How many people, because I thought when I went to film school, I thought, great, everyone here is going to want to be doing this. Everyone's going to be on the same page. We're going to put 110% in. Nah, man, out of 20 people, there were maybe like 3 that gave a shit.
Exactly. So like that blew my mind. Like when I was doing it, I was 110%. My full like soul and heart was in it. And then you show up and you get into groups for your first project.
Yeah.
And they just don't
Yep.
care.
Yeah.
And obviously that makes the uni's statistics look bad.
Mm.
Yeah.
But the problem isn't the uni, it's they just got a bunch of people who just said, oh, I need to study something.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to do law. I don't want to do
Just
medicine.
sounds fun.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
And then everyone, once again, going back to business, everyone thinks, oh, I'm great at writing.
Mm.
I'm great at setting up.
Mum
a
said I
story."
take great photos. I'm going to be a cinematographer.
There you go. That's exactly. Well, that's the same. My parents were like, you're so creative. You should do it. And then that's the problem. I luckily was forcefully introduced into the business side of things. And that's what a lot of these unfortunate peers of ours haven't done.
Mm.
They forgot about business and they can't market themselves and they can't take it to the next level. So to answer your question, honestly, in my 4 or 5 years that I did uni, I think in my cohort, there's probably about 5 of us that cared. And then out of those 5, one of them, who's a friend of mine, is working in industry. Another one has, like you guys, started his own production company. And then the other 2 or 3 are probably more in like wardrobe and all that stuff, which is still great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was a little disheartening at first, but then once you're there for a little while, you kind of realize at least the people that care, it's going to be noticed. And
Yeah,
the
'cause-
lecturers are going to put a bit more attention on you, obviously. Like,
Well, that's exactly right. Actually, question to you. Did you ever have those days at uni where you're sitting at the back of the class and you're like, I'm never going to work in industry? Because
nah, man, I had delusions of grandeur. I still have delusions of grandeur.
Okay, so it's just me. I need to work on my confidence, I think.
Yeah.
I was definitely sitting there sometimes and I'm like, this is I probably should have just done accounting or something.
Oh, I have those thoughts now more than ever. What would your advice be about the uni route then? Do you think people should do it? Do you think it's
That
for
is-
some people, not for everybody?
That is such a good question. I personally don't I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. So, for example, I've done the uni route just because that's what I thought was best.
I think what you did that was key, because I went to film school instead of uni. I did have the option. I got a scholarship to go to a uni and do like a bachelor and everything. But I heard you kind of take 3 years to even touch a camera, then you got to do 5 years to do your master's. So I was like, I'll rather just do an 18-month diploma where I can like get my hands on. But you did both. Basically, you had your hands on the whole time as well, which I think if you are going to do that route, do that. Don't wait till year 5 to get on a set.
And that's exactly right. So I think that's a really good point you brought up, which I didn't even think about. It's me going to my professor and saying, I need to touch a camera before I actually get out of here, was what actually helped me get to where I am. But to answer your question regarding uni or no uni, I don't think there's a right answer or wrong answer. I think it's literally 110% on how you do it. I personally... Like, for example, Raf started... Now, just so I understand, you started Dojo on your own, or you started immediately?
No, we started it together.
Oh, okay,
I was doing a little bit of my own stuff.
Oh, okay, great. So I personally did not have the contacts. I did not even know how to maneuver in the freelance world and just go straight.
We? Like, how many contacts did we have? Not really.
Not too much. We were just spending hours emailing.
I think we both had delusions of grandeur as well.
Oh, really?
Well, I think we knew that it was going to be tough, but we didn't...
I just thought we'd learn as we go.
Yeah.
We've always kind of had the attitude of just learn as you go.
Yeah, which I think is it's a skill set I admire from you guys, right? Like, it's something I didn't do, and I had to maneuver a different way. In regards to uni, if someone comes to me and says, do I need to do uni, yes or no? I always say yes. More for the sense that and let's be honest with each other, like, it's not the assignment and you breaking down a movie and writing about mise en scene that helps you get to where we are. It's the fact that every year you meet 5 new people that could get you somewhere, and a lot of times it's your professors. If you have no contacts like I did, go to uni and talk to your professors, because they're always willing to help. So I think that's what got me in, and I think that's what you should get out of uni. Uni is not about analyzing films and making your short film. It's great, but it's not what gets you to the next level. It's networking, which once again leads to business. So I say yes to uni. Do it. You can network a lot from it. And like you mentioned, if you're gonna do uni, personally I think there's only one way to do it right, and that's by not waiting.
And there's also an element of like, you were, I guess, blessed enough to talk to the right people, so you actually got the opportunity to get on good, decent sets, right? Some people may not get that, and it's like, at that point, I think you just have to try and make your own things, even if it's a tiny, small scale thing. If you can get 3 friends on the weekend to film a little video or something.
Oh, correct. And look, like, I miss that world. Like, I even think back to just high school. Like, we had a group of friends.
You didn't even have microphones. You just like filming straight through the camera.
Oh my God, if I showed you my first short film, it's embarrassing. I should not be sitting here at all.
Should we link it?
I acted
link in bio.
I'll have to show you my first one someday, actually. I acted in my first
Did
short.
you?
It was terrible, man.
Oh my God. I just remember because I directed it, and I thought I was the shit, excuse my French. And now I watch it back and I'm like, wow, I made it a little bit further than that.
Obviously it's going to change, but what do you see the next few years of your career / journey being?
That's such a good question. Look, at the moment I'm just hungry and I'm just a sponge, so I'm taking everything in. I definitely think I'm gonna have to work my way into the world of commercial a bit more. I don't want to just skip and go and try and go straight into films. I still have a lot of skill sets that I'm lacking in or I need to polish up on. So I think I'm gonna stay in the world commercial for a little bit longer. Not that I'll ever give it away. And then I think slowly introducing either through passion projects or through networking, and see if I can just start helping producing feature films.
How about music videos?
You know, I'm not against it, but it's just not in my world. And I've had very little experience with music videos. It's so crazy. We all work in the same industry, but there's the person you call for music videos, the person you call for films.
10 different.
There's so many different
of
people.
What you can make.
Well, it's like we were having a conversation recently, like we were potentially going to bring someone onto the business, and they were like talking about the kind of content we would do, and they just couldn't wrap their head around the fact that like real estate isn't our thing.
Yeah.
And they're just like, but it's videos. And we're like, but it's not. It's not just like.
That's right. And it's just a totally different setup,
Yeah.
different gear. It's just a different post. I understand your pain. I know where you guys are coming from. But yeah, music videos, to answer your question, I'm not against it.
Yeah.
But it's just
It'll have to just
something that just
happen.
naturally doesn't come in my way at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy to do anything really. I'm still at that phase where, you know, if a bigger project comes that it's just too big for me to chew on, I'll still, I'll happily move down and be a producer's assistant and work alongside an EP, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm never gonna, I'm never gonna try and fight for something that I think it's just something I can't manage.
Yeah.
Once you start getting offers to travel the world and
Yeah.
shoots in Asia and Europe.
We'll see. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully. Maybe we should make that the goal for this year. Do one international job. It's only February.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
It's possible.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
All right.
I've
so
got one. I've got one penciled in for Fiji. I'm hoping it happens.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're already
I'm meant
a
to
leg
be
up.
going
I
to-
don't have anything.
I'm meant to be
penciled
going
in.
to Fiji as well for
Yeah.
different jobs.
Different
really?
jobs. We're both going to
So
Fiji.
you guys
apparently.
have 2 of your own. I've got 0. Okay, this is not.
He's going to come back in 2 weeks. I'm spending 6 weeks in Dubai.
Oh, that's so good.
We're just going to see you on Instagram, just being like, I'm traveling Europe for the next few months.
Guys, here I am. No, I think let's make that the goal. I reckon by the time I speak to you guys again, we'll have 1 international job under the belt.
Yep.
I think that's a pretty good goal. Just always one. Closing thought. I think 1 extra day. Always 1 extra day.
Yep.
Go 1 more day. 1 more day. 1 more day.
I hear a lot. You're where you wanted to be 2 years ago. I don't think it's true for everyone, but
Oh, actually, that's such a good point.
You know, I
I feel
think
like we're
that's
never
true
gonna
for me
stop
right now.
talking. But that's actually a really good point, right? That same quote. It's like you are now where you wanted to be
Yeah.
a year ago, and then now I'm like, man, I want more.
yeah, you always want more.
You always
That's
want
how
more,
it
and it's like, does this loop ever end, or is this just who we are as people?
I don't think
You
so.
make a 50 million movie. And
Yeah,
you wanna
you're
make
like,
I don't-
100 million.
only 50.
I don't think you'd be here if you weren't that kind of person. You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
I
That
think
is
at
actually
some point you would have been in the industry 3 months in and rested on your laurels kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you
That's-
haven't, so.
That's actually very true. But yeah, I reckon my closing thought: 1 more day.
One more day.
Always 1 more day. And follow me on Instagram, link handle in the description below.
You got a website as well.
I actually don't, but I'm so happy you brought that up. I'm going to have to make one and start.
Just for the podcast.
Yeah, just I'll
Just
make
to
sure to
share.
link you guys. Yeah. But no, thanks so much for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Really appreciate it.
Shout out.
Really keen to keep an eye on your journey and
Yeah. Honestly, I'm happy to come back again.
yeah. I think it'll be
I'd
great.
love
Liked
to.
me on.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's great.
I'm really curious what you'll be doing 1 year from now or 50
Yeah.
years.
Oh,
from
Probably
it'd
be
be so
driving
good.
home and be like, man, we should have asked him this as well. but-
I'm sure I'll be driving and I'm like, damn, I should have said that.
We'll do a second part of all just like zooming tonight.
Yeah.
Just like tag it on to the end of the podcast.
Yeah, we'll put it onto the back.
yeah. Be like second thoughts, the afterthoughts.
Awesome. No, thanks so much, guys. I had a great time.
Thank you. It's been awesome.
Really
Shout
appreciate
out to Marty for letting us use this location.
Yep.
Yeah,
Catalog
amazing.
music in Fortitude Valley. Amazing venue. We shoot here every week. Everyone needs to flock in and buy some goddamn records.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hope you guys have noticed the change in the background. For those that pay attention to every detail.
That's amazing. All right, sick.
Well, thanks everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.